So speaking of retirements, there was a big one this week. Garbiñe Muguruza, French Open champion, Wimbledon champion, former number one. You have been vocal on your social mediums about her case for Hall of Fame. I'm surprised there's been pushback with that a little bit. I guess the internet will hate, like half the people will hate everything, but like talk about what is her legacy with the game. I mean, she beat Venus in one final of a Grand Slam, Serena in another. What do you think of when you think of Garbiñe Muguruza?
Yeah, this is a two-major winner. I think of one of my favorite tennis stats, which is she won 10 titles. 8 of them were on hard courts. The other 2, Roland Garros and Wimbledon. Is that a good little quirky stat? No, I think, I mean, you're right. It's social media. You say Sacramento is the capital of California, and 20 people tell you you're a Nevada hater, and it was San Jose before Sacramento. Give them some credit, but no, I think that this is a Hall of Fame worthy player. Her results were a bit all over the map, which to me always made her kind of fun to watch. Her careers are not linear. It's entirely possible you'll get to number one, win a major, and then get bounced in the second round at the next one. I always enjoyed covering her. There was a lot of game. I mean, when you size up careers, a lot of times I look to prize money. I think it's a pretty good metric. She won $25 million. So that to me says this is a very, very strong career. 2 majors, the WTA final. Did she necessarily max out all of her talent? Perhaps not, but I think next stop Newport, and I'm not quite sure why suggesting a 2-time major winner who got to number one and won almost 500 matches as a Hall of Famer is a controversial statement, but, social media and all. But no, good for Garbiñe Muguruza. I mean, she was on, it's a little strange, right? We're talking about Rafa and Andy Murray and Stan and Venus. We're sort of doing this retirement, this sort of career goal pool, this obituary watch. I'm not sure Garbiñe Muguruza would be the player everyone had as the next to retire, but she's been out a while on this sort of self-imposed hiatus. I'm not sure how happy she was, honestly, on the tour these last few years. Good for her. 30 years old. She's had a hell of a career. She goes out. Notice she did this right before Madrid, so I imagine we're, of course, taping this prior, but I can't imagine there isn't going to be quite a lengthy and endearing ceremony. Wishing her well, and good for her. She gave a lot more than she took, and we'll see her in Newport.
Yeah, she's going to be in the Hall of Fame. And I get it all the time. Anytime I post anything about the Hall of Fame, it's like one major. There's different ways. There's counting stats. There's percentage of matches won. You win Wimbledon and the French Open, and you're number one in the world, and you win 500 matches. Stop it. It's the most difficult Hall of Fame on earth to get into, based on the amount of players that get in. You're talking, a handful of players every single generation. Not a year. Not a year. Like, we struggle to put in one a year sometimes. And obviously the floodgates are going to open, as we're waiting for these, I don't see monsters like they're human monsters, but just these tennis monsters start coming in. No brainer. No brainer. And she deserves that day, right? And we talked about kind of the delta between Rybakina's best and when she's less than her best. Muguruza, I have to say Muguruza, because that's another one where I have to say her name the way that they say it in her country, but I did, but it's Roddick in French. Anyways, I digress. She's a Hall of Famer. She's a Hall of Famer. Precedent has been set. If I should be the worst person that gets in, like I say that, no, like I was embarrassed that I got in right away. And I think it's just because I could tell jokes. But you're laughing, but it's kind of true. It's a little true. She's in, and she deserves that day, and she will care, and it's a massive deal. That's where you want to spend your tennis afterlife. And she will have that moment where she walks into the museum and sees all of the names that have been superheroes to her, and she gets to rest with them for the rest of her tennis life. And that is a big, big, big deal. And people minimizing it on Twitter have no fucking idea. I've been it. I've walked through it. I've been humbled by it. She deserves it. She will have it. I can tell you where my vote's going right now. And I comb through these numbers, and I'm pretty critical, and I ask a lot of. She's in. She's in.
Darwin Blanche, who we mentioned before, is ranked outside the top 1,000. So we're talking about more than 1,000 players playing at any one given time. I think the best point, some of this is about inclusivity versus exclusivity, and are the standards to just do the math. Compare this to other sports. We are talking about more than 1,000 men and women. So we're 2,500 eligible players, and we're talking about every year letting in 2, 3. If it's a double, a 4. Tennis's standards are no easier than any other sport. We could probably save a Hall of Fame discussion for later, but I think this is one of these topics that actually has gotten a lot of currency recently, and I think it matters more to the players than ever. It matters more to the fans. I think this used to be sort of an obscure thing once a summer, and now I find that a lot of players care about it too. I mean, I think with Mugu, and you will note we all strenuously avoid having to use the Catalan TH. We'll just call it Mugu. There you go. You nailed it. Wait, cut and paste. You could be the MC for her induction ceremony.
Can't wait.
But let's save a Hall of Fame discussion for later, and just keep this focused on a really towering player who, again, won 2 majors, beat Serena to win 1, Venus to win the other. Good tennis citizen, just like a good person to have around. There are things we can argue about and have robust, meaningful, agree to disagree arguments. This one's silly. So see you in Newport, kid.
Yeah, and I know you got to rush off, JW. Thanks for your time today. We're about an hour in, but Mugu, we can argue all we want about Muguruza, but those arguments are gonna end in Newport, Rhode Island. She's gonna be a Hall of Famer. Jon Wertheim, I'm just saying, I'll vote for you. They have different categories. I'm just throwing it out there. I'll vote. I got Wertheim for Hall of Fame as well. Get out of here. I won't make you respond to that because you'll get all weird. Again,
say, in the spirit of challengers, I'm going to be a thruples entrant.
Oh, that's
Just
that's
kidding.
another thing.
All
I didn't
right.
think. Well, okay. I mean, as awkward as we can be, we might as well end this week's episode of Served with a thruple reference. JW, thanks for listening to Served.